I've lived on the creeks and of Eugowra. I've experienced it probably 100 times, over my life, but nothing like this.
It all started the night before, actually, for us, because it rained something chronic here that day and that night, and the drain was blocking up, and like the water was rising up into the people across the road's houses.
Now, where had that water came from? Was it rainwater that was just sort of gathering up?
Yeah, it was rain. That was rainwater.
There's never been a flood on this area, which was named, I think, back in the 1800s, Newtown, when they moved away from the creek where floods did happen, and they picked an area that no flood in that area ever happened.
It was like a wall of water rushing down the street. People had to scramble for their lives. They'd look around, they could hear the water coming, and suddenly they were hit. Houses were swept away, cars were swept away, people were swept away.
I was standing on the wooden chairs because the water was just up to here by then.
Yeah.
And then I walked inside, went out to the power thing because he wanted me to turn the power off. And it was up to here on me out the front door. Then I went back inside and it was there on me inside, and then he's like, just stay inside. And I was like, no, I'd rather get out and get on the roof, and it was up to here on me when I got outside.
Oh my gosh.
So I had to swim, and thankful there was a ladder there. And
Just happened to be there beside the house.
Yeah.
By the time I got out of her house and into the middle of the intersection, it was up to here, right up to my waist. That's how quickly it rose, like within minutes. It was just minutes.
Just minutes.
Not even quick enough to drive away from.
No.
It was, if you got in your car and tried to drive away, you were washed away.
I heard this noise coming, and I looked to my right, and all I could see was a wall of water coming. And I said to me brother, we got to go now. Get in the car, we got to go now.
Yeah, so it's hasn't followed the creek. It's just come straight through here. Where that house was probably the main wave, I suppose. I had power pole over here with canola around it. That canola was halfway up that power pole. But yeah, never seen water through here before like that.
Walked to the back steps, it was up to my knees. Walked up the steps on the veranda, and it was about to lap over the track on the sliding door. It came up super fast.
Yeah.
There's a hell of a wave of water.
It was just meant to be a normal flood, but then that wave come on top, and that was just terrible. There's another room up the top. It's called the projector room because it used to be a cinema. And I just went up there when it got too high. It was just to be safe. And then, I seen everything get done. There was stuff coming in the door. There was stuff going out the doors. Yeah. No, it was not good to see.
Never seen, I'd say it'd be 1 in 500 year storms. It just came like tsunami, the water just came.
Yeah, we were inside and we sort of went into one bedroom, and the bed started floating and the furniture started falling because it just was coming. And then I got on the kitchen bench. I sort of went through waist deep water by that time to get to the kitchen bench, and I got up there, but the dog had somehow swum from the backyard and come in the front door, helped itself in the front door, and it was trying to get on the bench, so it kept sort of knocking me and Sage, and the water was still rising above Mum's bench in her kitchen. So we decided to get to the roof, try and get me to the roof with Sage to feed her.
She's ringing me up screaming saying, quick, we're going under, we need help. And then the phone system went out. We didn't know whether she was still going or not, actually.
But then once I got into the roof cavity, I couldn't actually then get out with Sage because it was a tin roof.
And then he got out, grabbed the cats in the cage, and then I was able to get out because I had a window open. Otherwise, because the electrics weren't working and I wouldn't have been able to open the door, got out, and then we both made it to the tree and hung on to the tree with the cats holding them above the water, because if they went under, they would have drowned, right? Oh, sorry.
So I came running back down to Susan in the house,
To here?
Yes, to Susan, Lance's wife, and I helped her out towards the car, and then that's when Lance come home, and that's when we actually got in the vehicle, but the water rose so quickly. It was up to the windows in the car. That's how deep it got.
It got over the windows in the.
So we had to get out. I was worried the car was going to fill out. So we, I was up top pulling Lance, and then I had Ben Turner. He was on the bottom pushing him from that way.
And the car conked out and got a gut full of water. But luckily Phil Wykamp come along with his tip truck and parked in front of me so I could get my brother onto the roof of the car, then into the back of the truck. In the meantime, I see that other people were being rescued, so they all come to the truck and we got them in there. Then we got ourselves out there, we seen that house coming down, we thought it's time for us to leave. So we took them up to the showground.
What did you see? A house coming down?
Coming down the street at us.
Yeah?
It pulled up about 20 metres from us where it hooked onto the tree, and by that time we were up to water that deep. So we took the people up to the showground we had on the back of the truck. Then we went back down to the street and went and started rescuing other people we could see that needed help. They were trapped in their houses and that.
Sort of come around the pub corner there in my ute, and the wave was sort of just up over my bonnet, and when I sort of come around there with a bit of speed, the water went up over the windscreen.
And we tried going back up to move stuff in his house, but by the time we got up there, it was already waist deep water. So, so we just didn't worry about going in helping the house. And then there was another car there with a family in it, which it ended up getting flooded. So we got the family out, put the few kids in the back and the one in the front, and then we drove back up here.
What do you mean got the family out? What?
They were in the car. They were half out already. We just helped them get in the ute and get on the back and that.
And then
how many can you take at once in the ute? You're grabbing people like in ones and twos, dropping them off somewhere and going back?
No, as many as I could. The more weight I had in the ute, the better.
And then Ian hung on to me. It was hard for him to get to the tree, but he was hanging on to me. I was hanging on to the cats, keeping them above water. And I was calling out, and there were choppers everywhere, and there were people on roofs, but they couldn't hear, and they wouldn't be able to do anything anyway because they were waiting to be rescued.
Just went into the water down around Barrack Street area, just getting people out of houses. The Timmy, the copper, and Paddy Walsh, and Johnny Augustin and whatnot. The water height had gotten quite high, and the current had tripled. So by the time we got them out of the house, we were really fighting against the current to get them safely to the truck.
How are you getting people from their house to the truck? On your shoulders, or they're just hanging on to you?
They were walking, and Pat Walsh and I were one at a time, and we had it on either side. So we would the younger fellas would take the brunt of the current. When it got too bad, just outside of Mick Mongan's gate, Billy Turner hit the water himself, and he got a rope and he tied it to the bull bar and off to the gate, so at least they had something to hold on to, just to try and help fight against the current a bit.
On the shed. Got on the shed. On the shed.
You got on top of the shed roof?
Yeah.
Wow. Shed roofs are pretty hot too.
Yeah, they are.
You didn't take a picnic chair or anything up there, you're just sitting on a shed roof?
Yeah, for 7 hours.
Oh, and where's your 3-year-old?
He was down here with my stepdad and my 2 little sisters and my dog.
Were you able to make contact with him?
No.
She didn't know that at the time.
So you're obviously worried.
Yeah.
And just sitting on a roof.
Just seeing all the cars and houses.
Well, that's traumatic.
Everything is gone. I'm so scared. Everything is gone. Next door, an elderly couple, they were stuck in their house for 7 hours in water like this.
Yeah.
So I had to tell the helicopter when they came and got me, you need to get those elderly people out. And I kept ringing 000, saying that they're stuck in their house and they're someone's coming, but they were up to here and they're elderly, so I was like...
You could see them from where you were sitting on the roof?
Yeah.
And were they calling out to you?
Yeah. I said they're coming soon, they're coming soon.
Oh. Wow, so you've got communication, you're close enough to each other to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And just watching cars float by and just chaos.
Yeah.
You don't know where your kids are. And you don't know how long you're going to wait on a roof, or if being on a roof is going to be safe enough.
Yeah.
So we're like, yeah, no, we're not going to get through that. There was a bloke, he's got a tipper truck, which is, fairly high enough and heavy, and pretty much started on Pye Street, went down sort of as far as the truck could go and as far as we could walk. Like, we were in sort of, chest height water, grabbing a few people out of their houses, and didn't even realise until after the flood that this house that we rescued people out of was pushed on its stumps, and they were inside it when it moved, which that'd be pretty scary. So yeah, we grabbed them people out and put them on the truck, got back up sort of to here, and then went down the next street, and then just sort of worked our way down the streets.
Yeah, we're up Grevilla Avenue, just helping to get people out. Rondielle was in Alison Granson's house because it was a little bit higher than her own house, and she's pretty fragile. So we got her out, and she went off in the ambulance.
Got her in the ambulance, back down this road, and this wave just pushed the ambulance down the road. We managed to get to the pub there, and we went to go straight out the Orange Road, out the Cananda Road, and it was too deep across there, so we went back along the police station there, and the ambulance started to float there, and so we were stuck in the ambulance there for a little while, and Patrick, who was driving, I couldn't get the door open, and it's probably this high of water in the ambulance at that stage, and I just had to hold Rhonda's head up out of the water.
So we waded over to the pub to see if we could go through the doors or the windows to use the stairs to get up to the balcony. And by that time, I'm bouncing, and it's just underneath my chin and lapping up in my face there. But the water was higher inside the pub than it was out, just because the back door on Grevilla Avenue had broken, and the current was washing in, but there was no way to wash out as easily, so it was a good 6 inches higher inside So Sparky Mick ended up coming up with the idea, well, there's a ladder on this truck, let's see if we can use that. So we got the ladder down and got it over there, and because there was still current running through there, just most of it was getting blocked from the pub building. So I climbed up while they held the bottom of the ladder just to make sure it was going to be steady and safe and whatnot. And then Sparky Mick and Mick Stibbart end up shuttling people through the water to the ladder, and Mick Stibbart ended up the ladder himself, and he was helping me up top, and Sparky Mick was doing most of the shuttling from then on, trying to keep little kids out of the water, put them on his shoulder to walk them over there and things like that. And we got everyone up to the roof of the pub and over the railing and onto the balcony, and they were pretty safe.
And there were helicopters overhead, so when I was calling out, the only person who heard me was Daryl, who was in the house closest to us. Wow. And so I really thought that we weren't going to be able to hang on, because it was cold and we were both exhausted, completely exhausted. And then you think, this is how it happens, you do your best to survive, and then you just haven't got the strength. And
you could just see everything just washing away. Scary. A little puppy on a tussock of grass, just floating along in the current, and not being able to help that, to watch that little thing, just hope that it actually found something to get up on top of. But he was just on a little tussock of grass, this little puppy, and we're watching him just float away in the current. It was
very, very emotional time.
Yeah. There was a young family that got swept off on the other side of our house, and they got pushed. Well, they were facing forward or something, and they couldn't get up the tree at first. And then the house across the road come flying across and hit them, the front of their car, and twisted it around, and they were able to get up into the pine tree. They had a 1-year-old and I think a 5-year-old as well. We had another house that came across that was like behind a house. So we had there was 3 rows of houses that ended up going around our house, and I'm just sitting there waiting. We'll stand on the top, me and the grandfather, and we're just saying, like, we've got to be next.
In the initial phase, the first, probably one of the hardest things for everyone was we lost Telstra. And so even if people were rescued or saved, they couldn't actually, no one could contact them.
Yeah, so we eventually got down there and was grabbing kids out of houses. I had a kid in each arm, and an elderly lady sort of held on to me and
held on to you while you've got the 2 kids.
Yeah, sort of held on to my arm.
And then you've got
she had another lady on her side, the other side of it.
And you're walking through the water current.
Yeah, and so yeah, we had that fire truck full with people. We had my mate, who's the same age as me. He was up on his roof, along with his family were up there too with him, and and he was still on his roof. And I walked up to his house and I said, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" I said, "If I could walk it, surely you could get down and walk." He's like, "Oh, I didn't think of that." He's like, "I'm waiting for the chopper." I don't know, he probably just wanted a chopper ride. Anyways, he got down and got in the fire truck and helped us to go into houses and grab people out and whatnot. So
okay, you put him to work.
Yeah, I was like, "What are you doing, mate?" Like, "You're not having a go." Anyway,
Paddy Welsh came past with another fire truck, so I jumped in that and in through the houses and cars we searched and clearing them, making sure that sort of no one was really left behind. And then it came time that it was just time for us to stop for the night. And so I came in here, still sopping wet, and young Celeste shouted me a pair of dry footy shorts to put on, which was nice, although they were sky blue and fluorescent pink.
So have you got a rough calculation on how many people jumped in the tipper or the fire truck during your jaunts around picking people up?
Me and Tommy, between us, sort of, like, we're pretty much together the whole time, but 30 odd people.
Rough count, there's 30, 40 people, maybe more, who got on the back of that truck or a
I think when we got to the pub there was about 20, 25 people on the truck. Yeah, that's not including however many people we got off from the other side earlier on in the day.
Well, there's 2 things everyone's thankful for. One, it didn't happen at night.
Yeah, absolutely.
And 2, people like you who just put their hand to the plough and made it happen, just went into automatic mode.
I think that's just what any normal Aussie sort of person would do when put in that situation, especially coming from a tight-knit community like we are.
Yes. Anyway, the helicopter saved my wife and I. Yeah. We couldn't get on the actual roof of the garage, on the roof of the Land Cruiser, and it winched us up one at a time. And that's what saved us, really.
Yeah.
Staying up there with the Land Cruiser rocking in the current.
Right. I think I was up there for 4 or 5 hours, and then they crowbarred me out of the roof. I couldn't get my mum or my auntie, who was down the bottom still. I couldn't get them up into the roof because it was obviously mum sort of had to help push me, as I was only just had a C-section, so 6 days post C-section. So they put Sage in a bag and had like a harness seatbelt in it, and they zipped her up and got me out on the roof, put me in a harness, and then he hooked him and Sage in the bag on, and up we went.
You are on the roof.
I'm on the roof now,
and you're like calling in the emergency services to what you can see happening in front of you.
Yes, you're letting them know, like, there's people in the tree, there's the lady that's floated down the backyard, you know, things like that. I think we'll still stay there for another 2 or 3 hours before they come back and got us, because we were safe on the roof. And I kept telling them about, like, every time I seen a helicopter, I'd point down the back to the lady down the back, but they just couldn't see her.
Right.
Like, I think she was, I don't know, she was too low or something like that. I rang the emergency again, but they couldn't hear. And then the whole time that I'm on the roof and, like, there's helicopters above me, I get this phone call from our real estate saying that they're cancelling our house inspection today. And I'm yelling at them, and they go, no. Like, oh, just crazy. Things like that were happening.
The helicopters were amazing. There were 12 of them, 11 circling as far as I know, and 1 up higher doing the control work. They were incredible. And the RFS, in terms of their coordination, was amazing, but the communication between all 3, from my angle, just sitting in the fire truck or being out in the water trying to actually work out if someone's in a house, was really tricky. And that was probably the same for the next few days. It's really chaotic. You don't have some person fly in and coordinate everyone, which you kind of assume happens, but it doesn't. So it's a lot of local knowledge in that initial phase, then with help for particular things. And if they don't use that local knowledge, it's really hard because we're all not on the same page. 2 of the helicopters were local men flying, so that it's sort of the way we all ran to save each other is just amazing. Not one person ran away. We just absolutely ran, and that's how we all survived, because we all ran to help. It was amazing to watch.
Fucking hell. Holy shit. That house is going to blow away.
Got here and the person said that your mum's here and stuff, and I see mum and my son, and I just started crying because I didn't think they would have made it. And
Yeah, well, 2 people tragically lost their lives that day. The fact that so many survived is just incredible. Both people's resilience and also the bravery and assistance that so many of the community members gave each other. It's extraordinary.
Right. And then we came back here, and it's like we landed here and everybody's just completely shell-shocked. So we spent Monday night sitting, trying to sleep in chairs. I tried to lie on the floor, but I just couldn't. And everybody around us was just so traumatised, you know.
So our concentration was just really on the locals and providing them that support that they needed, because it was so traumatic.
Yeah, I'm Greg Augustin. I own this business here, Parallel Motors. I've been here for roughly 34 years in this business. The family's been here since the 1870s.
All the fences are gone, all the shed walls are blown out. Water's got underneath the concrete slabs and lifted the concrete up. I've probably got $300,000 or $400,000 worth of damage, plus what I've lost.
There's 3 generations of people where they've lost their houses, they've lost their business, they've lost their cars, they've lost all their household items. 3 generations of people like that. So, and that's really heartbreaking.
There was a lot of damage. We had stuff everywhere. It was just all over the floor. There was an inch of mud. The doors got taken out. A car went through the side door. Gas bottle hit the glass doors out the front. There was a tree in our alley from the side door up to the front. It was, probably 2 foot round and 10 foot long. I don't know how it got in there. Down the back is just a disaster area where it'll have to be demolished and rebuilt. We lost a lot of stuff. There was just a lot gone. Some trolleys, some stock, the fridges, the freezers. The cool room lifted up in the water.
I still have dreams about it.
You do?
Yeah.
Like every night?
Yeah, every night.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you mind telling me what you dream?
Just about if it happened at night time, like heaps of people would have died because they would have been in bed. And
do you dream of it happening at night?
Yeah.
Oh no. Yeah. I expect that might last a little while longer, but that's part of your whole self working it through.
Yeah.
That's part of the grief and the shock.
Yeah. Like my house was all closed up, so nothing got turbulent in it. It just everything rose and just dropped down again. And a lot of the things in the place could have been cleaned up and washed and everything. But with the frenzy of one of the days of the clean-up, we just couldn't keep control. There was just too many people, so much wastage. A lot of wastage. Broke me heart to see a lot of stuff getting thrown away that was very unnecessary.
I leased this country through here. Probably lost about $100,000 of canola. It was all windroad. I'd been stripping up my father's place, and this was the next place I was coming, so just needed one more day and I would have got it, but
Insurance, is that going to come into play here?
Already got the insurance for the car I lost, so that's all right. And we were only renting where we were and didn't have contents insurance or nothing like that, so that's all gone.
I'd like to see some significant financial aid poured into this town to help those people that didn't have to clear out because of the flood and won't be coming back, to help them get established again. Because insurance, in some instances, including ours, is not there. So all repairs have got to be done, unless there's something come along we don't know about, or got to be done out of our own means.
At night time, when people had finished doing stuff with their houses or whatever was happening, they'd come in here to the kitchen, so we've tried to set up that as homely as possible. Made the evacuation the pavilion a really safe local zone, and the first week it was really cold, so we had the fire going, and it was just that social, giving people that opportunity to tell some stories and debrief and just provide that local support. So that's really what we did.
At about the end of the first week, they realised those locals need a break. Resilience New South Wales took over some control on the ground, and they asked Rotary to come in and manage the donations and manage the kitchen and the food drops from there. When I got there, it still looked like a war zone. You had to dodge things just as you drove up the street to the showground. When I looked, there was a mountain of donations. It had got under a lot of control. The locals had done an excellent job storing stuff in containers, but there were storage sheds and shipping containers all over the place that needed some sort of order. And so I put the call out to Rotary, and the response from Rotary was absolutely amazing. We had people ringing up from all around the district offering donations of money, donations of kind, and volunteers to come and turn up.
I'm really impressed with the logistics of this site, with the local community, the local council, resilience and disaster relief, and now we have a role to play. We're all working together and it is fantastic. There's a guy on site, Sean Haynes, who has a meeting every day with all those different leaders of those teams, so everyone's on the same page and working together. What have we done? Where are we going? What's it going to look like?
People come in and just help themselves. We don't tell them what to take or what not to take. They just totally help themselves. Plus, we keep our fridges stocked with food all the time. Our cleaning products are a premium. We have where we put all our tools and camping gear and blow-up mattresses and things like that. Our people who come here from Rotary and got their own camper vans and that, they're all sleeping over in that area behind you. And down further, we've got the community kitchen, which with the lovely girls, Rotarians from all over the place, preparing food. And we have friends of Rotary with us as well. And some people are travelling from Bathurst to here, Cowra to here, Orange to here, just to do a shift. And we normally get average about 4 a shift. Sometimes we've got 6 or 8.
I think that's a really important part that we're playing, listening to the locals, and we're just having a chat, but we are listening and hearing. You just talk to them and have a little bit of a joke now and again, but not too much, and try and help them through whatever you can. Point them in the right direction to the different government agencies that are out here, because we're the first ones they sort of see and they come and talk to us.
I can't thank the people enough of this country as the money that they've given to us, and
they've come from all over.
The support is exceptional. Absolutely filled me with love, I tell you. Absolutely.
The help has just been, just words couldn't describe it. The help we've had from the clean up, the rebuilding, the suppliers. Yeah, it's just been overwhelming.
Yeah, so it could be a long process. And I'm well past retirement age too, and that's the worst part about it.
This is going to be 2 years. It's like the Northern Rivers. It's just such big floods and such big effects when you've lost houses and you've lost everything in it.
We talk to most of the businesses around here to see what they're doing, and they will like reopening. It'll just take time.
Maybe this time next year, Christmas time, we might have a house to live in, so we say, well, it's home again.
But the determination of the people of this town will get it going again.
Eugowra needs to keep going and there's been incredible people and we just need to support them in whatever way we can.
It's a great town. It needs to stay. The farmers need us to stay. Everyone around us needs us. So we've got to make this town survive. Yeah.
We always looked at reopening. We were was never in doubt that we were not going to. Never any doubt.
I know there's going to be a lot of red tape and insurance issues and things like that, but I think most people will just push forward as much as they possibly can, because it's a wonderful spot to live and no one really wants to leave. I sure don't.
And thank you to the people of Australia. That's all I can say, thank you.
It's a great country.
Yes.